Other parts of the eastern seaboard got plenty of snow this week, Keith, so I guess it's about time we got in on the action.
It is. And I think from the public standpoint, people just wanted to stop hearing me whine that the storm wasn't good enough. So
that's a factor.
So we got that going for us because it finally kind of came into the spot that we want it to be. I want it to be, and it looks a little bit better. The snow now moving through West Virginia. It was in through Tennessee. Nashville recorded several inches of snow. That's always an interesting scene. It happens, but this was pretty big for them. Still, northeast is the direction of this storm. So if you kind of track that, it's going to go right towards Halifax, but of course it'll go over us first. But the path of this, although it's important, is actually not all that complicated. The National Weather Service has issued winter storm warnings in the shaded pink and winter weather advisories in the shaded purple. And I talked briefly about how I very rarely kind of disagree with the National Weather Service. I believe these winter storm warnings can be right all the way through the coastline here because I think we'll get enough bands in to justify that. But we'll talk more about that in a second. Clouds come in tonight. Nothing really going on, even up until midnight. It's mostly just cloudy. It's not until 2, 3 in the morning that snow starts to move in from southwest to northeast, but it pretty quickly develops and gets stronger. This is 5 o'clock. And so I think for the morning commute, you know, it depends when you leave the house, of course, but if you average the start of that at 6 a.m., a good part of the state is seeing snow, and some of the states, the mid-coast into southern, southwestern parts of the state, that'll be pretty moderate, if not heavy snow moving through. Bangor waits until the tail end of the commute to get in on it. But then we're watching these bands of snow, the heavier bands of snow that will break off from the center of this low and really kind of rip an inch an hour or so right along the coastline. And then that snow around late mornings through the middle of the day gets concentrated into down east Maine. Meanwhile, the western side starts to lighten up and kind of evaporate. I think this model's a tiny bit fast with ending snow in Portland at 2, but I could see it around sunset, which is 4 or so, that snow wraps up, and then 5, 6, 7 o'clock, and it takes until about 7, 8 o'clock over down east Maine, and then that's the end of it. It is bright and cold behind it. So I said yesterday, just give me an excuse to pull that 4 to 8 line down a little bit more, and I got all the excuses I needed. Northwest trend in the models overnight into this morning. And the only discrepancy, so to speak, with other forecasts that you may look at is that right in here, there's going to be a zone that I think we have a chance for that enhanced 4 to 8 inches, and you might see lower amounts there. I think we get a northwest band on the end of this, a deformation band we see often out towards Sebago Lake, and that makes up that 4 to 8 difference. But as I mentioned before, I don't know why you're looking at any other forecast. I'm kind of offended by it. But if you were, you would see a difference there. After that, the story is cold, very cold. Tuesday, Wednesday, look at that overnight low Tuesday night, 17 below. That's the average inland. I think we could be as cold as I mentioned before, 30 below in a few spots. So this whole thing's pretty wintry. Here's some good news. If you don't like to move the snow, guys, it will be relatively light and fluffy stuff as it's going to be cold through the entire event. So I don't think we're talking about really heavy, pasty snow to be moving around.
All right. Thank you, Keith.